Hey guys, this is Elias with Softly, and in this video I'm gonna show you how to import JetEngine custom fields directly from Google Sheets using WP All Import. Now guys, to get started we need to go here to Google Sheets and then click on the share button. Then we need to change the general access from restricted to anyone with the link. Now after that's done, we need to click on the copy link button and go back to WP All Import, where we're gonna select download a file from URL. We're gonna paste that URL here and click on the download button. Alright, so now WP All Import has the data in our file, so we need to decide whether we want to create new items or update existing ones. Now guys, the main difference here is which products you can target with each import type. Because you can also create new items with the existing items import, right? Like I said, the difference is, let's say you have here on this side, you have some other properties that you created manually. And if you wanted to maybe update the prices or maybe update the images in them, right? You will need to use the existing items import, because the new items import won't be able to target properties that this same import didn't create, right? So that's the main difference really. With that in mind, and since we don't have any properties here, let's just jump straight into it with the new items import. And then we need to select the post type we want to import, which in this case is properties. It's right here. So we're going to create new properties for each record in our data file. Now let's continue to step 2. And the step 2 is basically a review step where you need to double check that all of the info that WP All Import is detecting is looking good. Now you need to check 2 things really. The number of rows, right? Which in this case, if I click here on this first column, Google Sheets will count this for me. Now Google Sheets says we have 105 rows and we have here 104. Now that additional one is the header row, so this number is good. Now the next thing is whether we have all of the columns, and that seems to be the case. This is all the data we have here in our columns, right? It's just being shown in this format for convenience. I will tell you why in the next step. Now, before we go to the next step, we have here the manage filtering options. Now, let me open that up here real quick. And here we have 3 values we need to set up. And what we're going to do with this is filter out some properties that maybe we don't want to import. Now, into this example, we have this element right here that says availability. And some of these properties are on the market and some of them, well, they are not, right? So I'm going to select from this pull down availability, which is here, and for the rule I'm gonna say equals. Now for the value, I'm gonna type in the value I want to filter my properties by, which in this case is on market. Now when I click here on the add rule button, right, you can see that we get this little like summary, and it says availability equals on market, and then we have here the condition. Now we could add other conditions. For example, we could select here amenities, and we could say maybe contains pool, right? Because some of these properties contain pool here in the amenities. So we could add this rule, right, and select whether we want to filter these properties in whether they are on the market and have pool, or whether they are on the market or have pool, right? You can add as many conditions as you want, but for this example, we're just gonna run with this availability one. So I'm gonna delete this, right? And you can see here this expat thing, and let me show you real quick what happens when I click here on this button that says apply filters to expat, right? So you can see this weird code has been generated for you. And we no longer have 104 properties. Now we have 75. And these 75 properties are those that are on the market. That's it. That's what this does. Now guys, the reason we're able to use expat in this Google Sheets file is because WP All Import is transforming that file into an XML. and thus it will allow us to run XPath expressions in them and do all sorts of crazy stuff. Now, if you do know what XPath is, then awesome, you can write here your own XPath expressions, and in step 3 you can do other fun stuff, which we will be doing in this video. We're gonna get there. But guys, there is really no need to know what XPath is, what XML is, or PHP functions, or anything like that, right? WPL import makes it very easy to handle all of this within its UI. So for now, let's just leave it like that. I like it like this. So we're going to import these 75 properties. So I'm going to click on the continue to step 3 button. And here we just need to drag and drop the values from this right panel into the appropriate import fields. Now you don't need to use a specific value in specific field or anything like that. Just drag and drop whatever field you want, right? This is why it's set up like this in columns to the left. So it's easier for you to drag and drop that. This is the title, right? So it's very similar to when you're creating a property here. This is the title, and this is the description, and here you have all of the fields we created using JetEngine. Now, guys, here's the title, and here's the description. So I'm going to drag and drop my description here, right? And you can even add static data. For example, say, well, let's type in here description, right, in bold letters. And then I'm going to add maybe a horizontal line, and I'm going to say address, and here it is, all right? Now, I don't want this address to be bold, so I'm going to deselect that. And you can hit preview, and there you go, guys. We have here our data. Pretty cool, right? Now, like I said before, you can add any element you want here, and WPL import will just import it. It doesn't matter if you set up custom static data or if you add multiple elements, it doesn't matter, right? It's cool. Now, let's just continue. We have here the images section, so I'm going to open that up. And here in the images section, I have two kinds of elements. The first one is this image featured one, and the second is this gallery one. Now, here in the images section, I will only use this image featured one. Now, the reason for that is because here in our post type, I have this media tab where I have set up this gallery field and this media field, right? So we're going to import this floor plan and the gallery here in the JetEngine section. Let's just work our way through these settings first, and we will get there in a second. Now, with this image featured element set up here, I can just preview and test. This is always a good idea, so you can be sure that your image elements are working. So when I preview, you can see here this little preview and the URL that WPL import will attempt to download. But to make sure that that's good, let's click on the Run Test button, and WPL import will attempt to download that image. And as you can see, that attempt was successful. Now I'm going to dismiss this, right? And I'm going to leave these settings as they are, right? You can hover on the question marks if you want to know more, or you can also go to our website at wplimport.com, where we have great documentation, and also in our YouTube channel, we have other videos where we dive a lot more into details about all of these settings, right? Now, the one that's important to me in this example is this one that says set the first image to the feature image. So this is going to be our feature image right here in our post, right? Where is it? Here it is, right? So this is going to be the feature image of my property. Now, all of this is looking good. So I'm going to continue. We're going to skip the custom fields section because we don't have any custom fields that we didn't create with JetEngine, right? And for those fields, we have our JetEngine import add-on. So I'm going to open that up. And you can see here that WPL import will ask you to enable the field groups you want to import. So in this case, I only have one, so I'm going to label that. And WPL import will fetch all of the custom fields contained in that group. Now, I'm going to go here to our post type real quick, so I can walk you through the different fields we have today. We have a couple of simple text fields, which are very straightforward, right? There is nothing really too special about them. Now, here we have one more interesting, which is this date picker, right? Then we have these select ones. Cool. This is a simple text, so nothing to do there. Here we have this amenities one, which is pretty cool. Then we have this number one, which is the square feet. We have a couple of radio fields, right? And then we have this very cool one, which is the rooms. And this rooms is a repeater, which has 3 different subfields inside of them, right? You can add as many repeaters, sub-elements as you want. Now, I'm gonna go here to our media tab, and here we have a gallery and a media field. And finally, here in the contact tab, we have 4 more simple text fields. All right, guys. So this is all we have in this video. As you can see, it has a great variety of fields. So let's go back to WPL import and start importing our data. Now, guys, WPL import will allow you to import all of this data very easily. Some of them are a little bit more complex than others, but not to worry, we're going to walk you through each one of them. Now, these 2 are simple text. So, as I said before, very straightforward. Just drag and drop that. Boom, that's it. And with this, WPL import will import this data as it is, and it's really, that's pretty much it, right? But here, in this date first listed, and if you click on it, you can see WPL import shows you a date picker, right? And you can select the value from here, and WPL import will import this exact value into all 75 properties. And that's cool, but it's not what we want because we have here this date first listed element. Now you can see here that the date first listed has a different format than what WPL import is showing us right here, right? So first thing first, I'm gonna drag and drop this element right here, like so, and WPL import will use the str2time function to translate whatever date format you have, right? WPL import will translate that to whatever JetEngine is using for your custom field, which is pretty cool, right? Now, the accepted formats, of course, are those within the PHP limits. So it's very flexible, but in case you have some really, truly weird format in your date, there is nothing to worry about because you can also run PHP functions in WPL import. And we're going to get there. It's down here. So you can open that up. Right here, your custom PHP function to translate whatever weird date format you have to anything that's readable by PHP. And with this, boom, that's pretty much it. WPL import will import that to your date field. Now, moving on, here we have this availability field. And guys, you can select a value from here, right? In this case, it doesn't really matter because all of these are on market. So I'm going to leave it like this. But here we have other select fields, right? And if I select here house, for example, that will mean that all of these 75 properties will have that same listing type. And this is not good because, say, this is house, but here, as you can see, this listing type is an apartment. So we don't want to mislabel all of this because that can get us in trouble if we were doing a real website, right? Now, how do we import these values dynamically? Well, we can use this option that says set with XPath. And well, guys, I mean, you can do all sorts of crazy stuff with XPath here if you know what you're doing. But if you don't, this set with XPath option just means that you can drag and drop a value like so and drop it there, and WPL import will just import that dynamically, right? That's if you don't know what XPath is, well, this is what it means for you. Now, if you do know what XPath is, then the sky's the limit for you here, right? You can write your functions here and do all sorts of crazy stuff. We're going to use that in a minute here in the amenities field. Let's just drag and drop the price element, like so. And here, guys, for the amenities, remember this is a checkbox field right here, and we can select multiple values. Now, if you hover on the question mark here in the set with XPath option, it says that you will need to separate those different values with a comma for them to be imported independently, right? Now, I have here my amenities element. So let me zoom in so you can see we don't have this element separated with commas, right? We have them instead separated with pipes. And this is kind of a problem, right? If we weren't able to run PHP functions, because with PHP functions we can modify our data on the fly however we see fit. So let me show you an example. And so I'm gonna open a bracket here, and I'm gonna say str replace, right? I'm gonna open a parenthesis, and I'm gonna let me zoom in here so you can see better. I'm gonna look for a pipe, right? And I'm gonna change that for a comma, right? This is the structure in the str replace function, which is already built in WPL import. Now, if you go to wplimport.com, let me go here real quick. Right? You can click on the docs menu, go to import, then scroll down to custom code, and here in inline PHP, you will find all of what you need to know to run PHP functions in your file, right? And we have two kinds of functions you can run. There is the inline functions, which are already built in WPL import, and we have a couple of examples there. For example, these if statements, the for each, and whatnot, and many other things you can do here with inline PHP functions, which, like I said before, they are already built in WPL import, so you don't need to actually write them, right? So this is pretty cool. But here you can use custom PHP functions, and for those, you will need to go here to the bottom of the import template, write here your function. For example, if you wanted to write the str2time function, you will do it here, function, right? Let's see, change pipes, all right? And then I'm gonna return str replace, and I'm gonna look for the pipes, and I'm gonna change that with a comma in the data element, right? And then you will save this, then copy this function's name, and you will use that right here. Let me separate this a little bit, right? So you will open a bracket, paste the name of your function, open a parenthesis, then drag and drop your amenities here, right? Close your parenthesis, close the bracket, and with this, WPL import will change all of the pipes into commas. Now, if you want to test this, you can copy that function and go here to our content area. Let me delete all of this, paste it here, preview, and there you go, guys. We have changed all of the pipes into commas using a custom PHP function. Now, let me finish our str replace inline function. I'm gonna delete all of this, right? And here we have the str replace. We have the first element, which is the one we're gonna look for in our text, which is the pipe, and the one we're gonna use to replace that, which is this comma. So all we need here is where is this function gonna run. So this is gonna be the amenities element. So I'm gonna close my parentheses and my square brackets, and let me copy this, go back here to the content area and preview, and there you go, guys, right? You can see we have the same result using an inline function and a custom one, but this is just for the str replace. If you wanted to do more crazy things here, well, you will need a more complex function, and you can do that here in the function editor, the way I showed you. And if you have some doubts about how to do that, you can go here to our docs, and like I said before, click on the docs menu and find what you're looking for here. But if even after that you're still having some questions about how to do X or Y or whatever, just don't worry about it and contact our support team. We will be more than happy to help you out. For now, guys, let's just continue. We have here our square feet element, which is a number field, and this is pretty much just text. Now here for the bathrooms, we can, again, like I said before, select the value from here, but let's just use XPath. Done. Bedrooms. Done. Good. Now, guys, here we have something very cool, which is the rooms repeater. Remember, we can add as many sub-elements as we want, and WPL import presents us with two options for this. The first one is the fixed way, right? So imagine you only have 2 rooms per property, right? And you have those elements here, rooms 1, rooms 2, and whatever. Well, you will add as many rows as you need and drag and drop the elements to these subfields, right? Name 1 here, measurement 1 here, description 1 here, and name 2 here, measurement 2 here, and description 2 here, right? But this is not our case. Let me show you real quick. here we have only 3 elements. We have room's name, measurements, and description. And the different rooms are separated with pipes. So this entrance hallway, right, is a different sub-element, right, sub-element than this kitchen diner one. And this kitchen diner one is different from the entrance hallway and the living room. And these are the measurements, right, for the entrance hallway. These are the measurements for the kitchen diner. And these third ones are the measurements for the living room, and so on and so forth with the description. Now, this property only have 3 elements, right? But if I go here to the next record, you can see this one has a lot more, right? Has like, what, 7? So this is a variable number of repeating elements. And we can import this with WPL import using the variable mode. Now, in the variable mode, we have variable for XML if we were importing an XML file. But for a spreadsheet like formats like Google Sheets, OneDrive, Excel, CSV, we have this variable CSV, right? So we're going to use this and drag and drop the room's name here, room's measurement here, and room's description here. Now I'm going to enable this option that says ignore blanks fields, and if you hover on the question mark, it says if the value of the element or column in your file is blank, it will be ignored. Use this option when some records in your file have a different number of repeating elements than others. Now this is our case indeed, so I'm going to enable this, and I'm going to make sure that the separator character is the same we have in our file. So if, for example, you have in your file maybe a semicolon, right, to separate the different elements, you can change that here. Cool. Now, guys, with this WPL import, we'll be able to import as many sub-elements in our repeater field as we need, right? So let's just continue. And we have here our media tab with the gallery element. Now, this gallery element is right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is drag and drop that and make sure I have the right separator for our gallery. Now, in this case, our gallery is separated with pipes too. All right, you can see it here. So I'm going to use that pipe here. And with this, WPL import will just be able to separate our URLs and import them correctly. Now I'm going to enable this option that says search through the media library for existing images before importing new images. Now what this does is basically before WPL import unloads each one of these images, it will compare whether that image already exists in our site or not. Now if it doesn't exist already, then it will download that image. But if it does exist, it will use the image that's already in our media library instead of creating a duplicate one. This is not mandatory, but I find this option to be very useful because sometimes you may be importing some data that will use the same image over and over again, and you don't want to really clutter your database with and your server with duplicate images, right? Well, just enable this. And you can match that by URL or file name, that's up to you. I'm going to leave it by URL. And you can find these same settings here in the images section. We just blast through them because we were going to talk a little bit about them here. Now this is going to work. And here for the floor plan, we're going to do the same, drag and drop, enable the search through the media library, the settings, and match those by URL. And that's it. Now here for the contact tab, we have these 4 fields, so I'm gonna drag and drop that, agent name, phone, email, and link for more details. Cool. Now, guys, I believe we're ready here in our JetEngine add-on section. We have map or map address, the short address, the first listed, availability, which again, remember we selected a static value from here because all of these properties are on the market and it doesn't really matter. And then we set up some custom values with XPath. We ran a quick PHP function, and we used our variable mode to import our repeaters. So it's cool. We set up our images, right? And that's it. Now let's just continue. We have here some taxonomies. So I'm going to enable the first one, which is the tenure. I'm going to drag and drop that here. Cool. And for the property of the week, we do have a slight issue. And this property of the week, we have here these ones and zeros. And this is not good because here in our site, the property of the week taxonomies are yes and no. And this is another of those cases, guys, where we have a different format in our import file that the one we're allowed to use in our site. And guys, this is nothing to be too worried about because WPL import will allow you to run PHP functions. And in this case, you can maybe, I don't know, write a quick PHP function to change the property of the week. Right, you can say here data and maybe use a switch. Yeah, it's good. To iterate through this, changing ones and zeros into yes and no. But if you want, for the taxonomies, you can also, let me save this real quick. You can also use the built-in mapping feature. So I'm going to drag and drop the property of the week, first thing, right? And I'm going to enable this. And I'm going to say, if in my file there is a 1, I want that to be translated to yes. And I'm going to add another rule to say, if in my file there is a 0, I want that to be translated as no. Cool. Now with this, WPL import will translate that and change that on the fly for you, so you have the right data for your import, right, on your site. Now, guys, as you can see, this is very flexible, very powerful, but it can get confusing in some parts. So like I said before, if you need some help, you can go to our website, click on the docs menu, go to our YouTube channel, search what you need there, or if you want, just contact our support team, and we will be more than happy to give you a hand there importing your data. Now let's just scroll down and continue to step 4. And here in step 4, it's the last step in our import settings. So the first thing we're going to do here is select our unique identifier. And guys, this unique identifier, it's just a way WPL import has of telling one record apart from the other. Now, a great unique identifier is usually an ID or something like that that's truly unique, that each one of these properties has a value that's unique, right? That doesn't repeat itself across the whole file. But sadly, this is not always the case. So you can combine some stuff, for example, drag and drop here the property name and maybe add a dash and the square feet, right? Because maybe there are two properties with the same name, but it's highly unlikely that there are two properties with the same name and the same square feet. Maybe if you want to add more complexity to it, you can also add the number of bathrooms. Yeah, why not? Right? Because maybe, yeah, sure, why not? There are two properties that are called exactly the same, and they both have the same measurements in square feet, but it's very, very unlikely that they also have the same number of bathrooms. So that's how you select a unique identifier properly. But if you don't want to overthink that too much, just click on the auto detect button and WPL import will do its best to select the right one for you. In the most cases, it will select the right one for you. In this case, we do have different property names for each one of these records, so this is good. Now, let's continue. These settings are mostly for when you need to rerun this import, right? But you can just read this and you will know what they do instantly. And if not, you can hover on the question mark and it will just control whether you want to create new properties when you run this import or not, or maybe you don't want to update things, so you disable this, or maybe you don't need to update all of the data. Maybe you only want to update the images, right? You can do it like that. So in this example though, we're gonna just update all of that, so I'm gonna leave it as it is. And here is a very cool feature that will allow you to remove or modify properties that are no longer present in this import file. So this is cool because say you have this data coming from a provider, right? And this provider is constantly updating the list of properties and taking out the properties that are, that are no longer in the market, right? So instead of just running this over and over again, filtering out the ones that are on the market and whatnot, well, you can select this option and say you can, first you need to decide which properties you want to target, because maybe you have different providers, right? And you only want to remove or modify those properties that were created by this same import. Well, this option is for you. But if you want to update or modify or whatever each one of the properties in your site, regardless of when or how or who created those properties, you could use this second option, right? And then you need to decide, well, what happens with those properties, right? Should we send those properties to trash? Should we instead change the post status to draft or private? Or maybe we could select a custom field value. Maybe we want the availability field to be sold, right? We can do that here. Or if you want to go a little bit more nuclear with this, you can always just go ahead and straight up delete the properties and even the files and images attached to them, right? So this is very, very powerful, guys, and potentially dangerous. So if you try to run the import with these settings, WPL import will ask you to acknowledge that you have backups, that you understand that this is a no return kind of action, right? So if you delete properties using this, well, you won't be able to recover them unless you have a full backup of your site, right? So just keep that in mind, guys. But in this video, we're not gonna do this. So let's just move on. We're gonna leave this as it is. We have here the scheduling options, and this is pretty cool because say you need to update your properties every single week or maybe every single day, right? Because again, maybe this file is coming from a provider of yours. Well, you can automate that process and not do it yourself manually, because although WPL import makes it fairly easy to do, well, maybe you simply don't want to do it manually, right? Well, you can use the automatic scheduling service, and this is a paid service, guys, right? It costs $9 a month, and here you can select the days you want to run this import on. So I'm going to select all of these days, and I'm going to say I want this to run at 12 a.m., right? And with this, WPL import will run in this schedule, right? And it will update the data in this import file. And what's cool about this is that if you go here and say you delete maybe these properties, right? You delete this, well, WPL import will always fetch the latest version of this file, which is pretty cool, right? I'm going to go back here real quick so we don't alter the data. But yeah, guys, this is pretty cool. But you don't need to subscribe to this if you don't want to. You can always use cron jobs. And cron jobs are free, but they are a little bit more technical. And you can learn more about that if you click here on this link. You will be taken to our docs, so you can know more about that or contact our support team like I said before. Now, again, for this video, we're not going to do this. So I'm going to close this up. And I'm going to continue so we can confirm and run this. This is just a import summary which says the import file we're going to use, the possible filters we have going on, or unique identifier, and some other stuff just for you to double check before you confirm and run this. But all of this is looking good, so I'm just going to confirm and run this. And this may take a minute or two, so I'm just going to pause the video here and come back when it's ready. Alright guys, so WPL import says is finished importing our properties. So let's see if that's true. Alright, let's open that up. And here we have 75 properties, which is pretty cool because this is the number of properties we expected, and all of them seem to be here. Let's take a peek here in the front end of the site, where we have this beautiful website. And as you can see here, guys, we have a bunch of properties. So let's maybe open this one up. Cool, so we have our gallery, which is always a good sign, right? Because that means all of our images were downloaded successfully. So then we have here the title, the short address, then we have the price, the availability, the listing type, the number of beds, square feet, location, and this location is used on the map. Then we have here the description with the static data we placed. Here we have the description, static data, the horizontal line, the address, Then we have our amenities and the repeaters, which is looking good too, right? And the agent information. Now let's go here to the edit post page, and here we have our title, description, the different taxonomies, feature image, map address, the amenities. Here we have our different data and the repeater data, which as you can see, it created a lot of sub-elements. Now here we have the gallery field with a lot of images and our floor plan. It's good. And finally, the contact tab with the four different simple text fields. So there you have it, guys. That's it. That's how you import JetEngine custom fields directly from Google Sheets using WPL import and the JetEngine import add-on. Now, guys, again, if you want to know more about how to import or even export other JetEngine fields, or if maybe you're using Metabox or maybe ACF to handle your custom fields and post types and whatnot, you can always go to our website at wplimport.com or check out our YouTube channel for more video and more info on all of those topics. For now, I just hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and see you next time.